Okay, I see that it's streaming live, right, Pam?
It's loading on mine.
On YouTube. Yeah, mine says it's now streaming live.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order at 5:35 PM.
Hang on. All right. Tim Han,
Yes.
Amy Warner,
Here.
Bev Evans,
Here.
it was loading.
Uh-oh, now
Okay.
you're freezing up on me.
All right, Heath Gordon,
Yep.
Johnny Baker,
Here.
Fred Dusendorf,
Here.
Josh,
Present.
did you want to do the pledge?
Yep, if we would all, if you can, where you're at, stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
liberty and justice for all.
Liberty and justice for all.
Very
Wow.
well.
Thank goodness
That
that
was-
wasn't a choir.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
That might
That
be
was
good
like what-
coordination.
I think if you have it live, you have to take it off because it's echoing.
Oh,
Everybody here, Pam?
I
Yep.
can't.
Yes.
Are we supposed to mute?
We have no presentations, obviously. If so, then they're better and more talented than we are. I need a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the March 16th minutes or meeting as submitted.
So moved.
Josh with the motion,
A second. Bev,
Amy had a second.
okay.
I can't see your eyes from here
I know.
like I normally do.
Who did the motion?
Josh had the motion, Amy had the second.
I
Thank
did.
you.
Any questions on those minutes? Anything needs to be amended? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have no administrators reports other than, I would say, if you go to the GV webpage and look at what they're doing, they're constantly posting stuff. The administrators, both Sarah and Brian, are
Yeah,
doing a
that's
great
cool.
job keeping the PJC page up to date. So kudos to them. Financial reports, I'll let Aaron have a few.
Yeah, as of right now, everything is really up in the air, honestly. Currently, our budget is at a $400,000 gap, and that's at least $400,000. The governor is able to, continue to reduce funding throughout the school year. So as of right now, we really haven't received any definitive answers as to what that will look like. Hopefully, like Brian mentioned, after the 30th, we'll get more answers on that as to how to plan accordingly and move forward with our budget. In the packet, you'll see the response to the comptroller's audit. That's our corrective action plan. I think it's pretty straightforward and it's also vague, and that's intentionally. We really don't want to lock ourselves into something that we may not be able to accomplish in the next few years. One thing that we discussed at the last meeting was decreasing the appropriated fund balance. With everything going on, I don't really see that as being an option. Just talking to many other business officials, they're actually looking at increasing their appropriated fund balance to try to offset the potential decreases from the governor as it goes forward. So Brian and I will have to get together and discuss how to plan for that for next school year. But like I said, everything is kind of up in the air. Brian, I don't know if you've heard anything more along the lines of the budget that you want to add.
I was on a statewide meeting, statewide superintendents last week, and we had representatives from NISCUS, our lobbyists, and they haven't heard yet as to when they're going to set the budget vote date. Dates are being thrown around. in June. June 9th is one. June 23rd, which is also the primary, is being thrown around as a possibility. And so as far as adopting the budget, we won't adopt the budget until they set that date, because all of our deadlines work backwards from when that date is set. And the same goes for the board elections. Those would take place in the same time frame. They're also trying to figure out whether they're going to be having in-person voting or whether it's going to be absentee. We're lobbying pretty hard to encourage that to be some type of in-person voting, because absentee could be pretty expensive and could be really time consuming. And then the last component of it is just trying to make sure we're optimistic that we're going to get some federal impact aid from the federal government, because right now the state's facing about a $15 billion deficit. It was 6 before when the budget year started, but because of the costs and expenses of the pandemic, that has really grown. So if you have any of our state and federal, particularly our federal senators or Tom Reed's ear, and you want to reach out, I'll be writing a letter tomorrow and calling both of them tomorrow from the office. And then we're doing a regional letter as superintendents. If any of you want to help to advocate, let me know, and I will send you the information to help us to do so. So we're hoping to, on Sunday, Governor Cuomo said that he was looking at possibly a 50% education aid decrease, depending on without any federal aid. And then yesterday he said it would be 20%. I don't think he really knows. I don't think any of us really know what's to come.
Okay, Aaron, anything else?
No, that's all I had. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Nope.
Anybody? If not, I'll move on to letter A. I need a motion and a second to approve the treasurer's report. All the different funds there.
So moved.
Buddy with the motion,
Second,
Don with the second. Questions about the treasurer's reports? All those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The warrant reports, I need a motion and a second to approve the warrant report. Okay, Bev with the motion,
I'll second.
Amy with the second. Questions about the warrant reports? Anything that stood out?
This is Fred.
Yep, go ahead, Fred.
There was a thing for like $741.82 mileage from Dr. Schmidt. I just curious. It'd be like 1,400 miles somewhere.
It was not just once, Fred. It was 4 months. I hadn't submitted it in a while. So it was,
Okay.
and it's not me going back and forth to work. It's the meetings, and I had a trip to Albany, those things. So yeah, no, usually I submit it every other month, and I just hadn't. So that's why
Okay.
it was larger.
All right, good then.
Any other questions about the warrants? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion, if I can scroll down here. Motion to approve the audit corrective action letter that Aaron spoke about just a few minutes ago.
So move.
Donnie with a motion.
I'll second on
I
that.
saw Fred's hand come up.
Oh,
I got Fred with the second, with a hand.
quick on the draw.
How, any questions or concerns about the letter? Anything? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve the COVID-19 resolution. I'm actually will read down through this for anybody that may be watching and doesn't have this in front of them. Whereas on March 14th, 2020, Allegheny Department of Health recommended the school districts in Allegheny County closed to students effective as soon as practicable and until further notice due to the COVID-19 virus. Whereas as of 12 a.m. on Sunday, March 15th, the Allegheny Board of Legislators, in collaboration with the Allegheny County Department of Health, declared a state of emergency in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Whereas on March 16th, 2020, Andrew Cuomo, governor of the state of New York, signed an executive order closing schools statewide for 2 weeks, beginning March 18th, 2020, and ending on May 15th, 2020, unless extended by the governor. Whereas the Genesee Valley School District did comply with these orders and closed the students and conducted superintendent's conference day on March 16th, 2020. Whereas the Board of Education recognizes that undue hardship, the undue hardship an unprecedented event may have on this community, whereas the Board of Education recognizes the undue hardship this situation may have to safely maintain and operate its facilities. Whereas the Board of Education recognizes the need to provide its vulnerable student population with meals during the mandated closure. Whereas the Board of Education recognizes the need to continue the essential functions of the business office. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Education authorizes Dr. Brian Schmidt, Superintendent of Schools, take necessary measures, including waiving current district policies and exercising the authority granted by General Municipal Law 92 to ensure the continuity of business office functions, including but not limited to purchasing, bill payment, banking, and payroll for all district employees and long-term substitutes. Be it further resolved, the Board of Education authorizes Dr. Brian Schmidt, Superintendent of Schools, to designate selected staff, faculty, and administration as essential to address the aforementioned concerns. Be it further resolved, the Board of Education authorizes Dr. Brian Schmidt, Superintendent of Schools, to establish parameters, review criteria, grant approvals, and/or otherwise approve requests for all employees, including himself, to work from home in order to help the slow the spread of the pandemic, perform duties required by appropriate government agencies, and/or when the duties are essential to the operation of the district. Be it further resolved, this shall be effective March 17th, 2020 until official adoption, and shall remain in effect until such time as the district is allowed to reopen to students and non-essential personnel and resume functions as prescribed by the aforementioned regulatory authorities. Now, with that being said, I need a motion and a second.
I'll move on that.
Josh with a motion,
I'll second.
Donnie with a second. Any questions on that? I know it was lengthy and my stumbling through it probably didn't help. I think everybody's on the same page that we need something moving forward. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion and a second to approve the cooperative natural gas bid. This is one that we do each and every year, and I'm not going to read through this.
I'll make a motion.
That was Fred.
Yep.
Fred with the motion.
He beat me.
Okay, and I've got Beverly with the second. Any questions on the natural gas bid?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the consent agenda. If I can get back down here. I need a motion and a second to appoint additional county voting inspectors. One being Pat Smeltzer in Belmont, the second being, no, I'm sorry, take that back. Pat Smeltzer in Angelica and Barb Zlomek in Belmont with an alternate of Bob Rosendahl.
So moved.
Move.
Buddy with a motion and
I'll
I
move.
didn't catch. Amy had the second. Any questions on that? And I believe Pam in her email said it was just to fill in spots that hadn't been filled earlier that we had voted on.
Correct.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion and a second to approve the BOCES 2020 and 2021 budget as handed out in previous emails.
I'll move.
Josh with a motion,
I'll second it.
Bev with the second. Questions on the BOCES budget? Fred, was it you earlier or was it Donnie earlier? Maybe Dot can answer it
It was-
regarding the percentage of change from year to year.
Yeah, like we have to stay within in a fixed area on our percent increase in the budget. BOCES doesn't have to do that.
They don't have the limitations, but they really are tight. I mean, one of the things that I'm impressed with is there's some budgets that are reduced and there's some budgets that go up, but nothing, when they review the budgets with us, there is no significant increases across the board.
Okay.
So I reached out to Scott Payne and said, Scott, given everything that's going on with our budget votes, do you want us to still have the conversation around the BOCES budget, or do you want us to postpone it like we're doing our local districts? And he said, the reality is that the services that they provide at this point are going to go forward, offered because people have committed to them. And so their budget is fairly set. They didn't see a significant reduction or certainly a significant addition. Scott was anticipating, if anything, that people may want to share staff more in the future, so the budget possibly could be spread a little bit wider other than what's existing now. So,
Okay.
Aaron, I'm going to put you in the spot here, but my recollection is they don't have a 2% tax cap because they don't collect a levy. They come from the districts.
Right, yeah, not to my knowledge. So I think you're accurate with that.
But they do a great job, Fred. In all sincerity, they start in October like we do, and they're really their budgets are really tight.
Okay.
So actually, they probably fall under our cap, right? I mean,
In many ways, yes, because all the districts are limited to how much they can raise their services that they're purchasing.
yeah,
So you're right. It kind of trickles down to their cap.
yeah.
All right.
Good on the BOCES budget?
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Letter C, we need to cast votes for the BOCES board. There's 3 vacancies. All 3 are running unopposed. Those vacancies are in area 1, which is Whitesville in that southern corner of the county. Jerry Reichman. Area 4, around the Allegheny area, Candace Clements. And again, another area 1 that can't be right, Brad Sand, which is Salamanca, and that's a long ways away from Whitesville, so I'm guessing they're not the same areas.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Sorry.
Nope, that's all right. I didn't catch it either until just now, so. I believe the only new board member would be Jerry Reichman is filling in, run unopposed for a vacant seat. The other 2 are incumbents.
The Salamanca's area 9.
Area 9 for Brad Sand.
Yep.
Do I have a motion for those 3 to cast a vote for each one of those?
All right, I got to go.
I'll move.
Amy,
Second.
Donnie with a second. Casting 1 vote for Jerry Reichman, Candace Clements, and Brad Sand. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. items, which will bring us to pretty much the end. I need a motion to amend the motion for substitute. And it basically is renaming the position or taking Noah Windus's position that he had as sport aid substitute and making it an after-school sport aid substitute for modified and varsity track.
It went from a substitute to the aid.
To an aid, okay. Thank you, Dan. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Buddy with a motion,
I'll second it.
Fred with a second. Any questions on that?
So
All those in favor?
well, just a second.
Yep,
Tim,
go ahead, Donnie.
He's just going to be an aid to help with a multitasking sport. Is that what the
I believe
situation
it's
is?
one
Yes.
student, right?
He's a
There was
one-on-one
two-
aid. Oh, so it's two
A one-
students, but he.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, all right.
I had it under substitute is what the amendment is. I had him as a substitute and he's an actual, a sports aid
Okay,
okay.
that he
I
would do
see
every
now.
day.
I understand. Okay,
It was my error.
thank you.
Yep.
With that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion and a second to approve a one-year extension to the GVEA contract that was in the middle of being negotiated and is currently needing this extension to get through.
So moved.
Buddy with a motion,
I'll second.
Bev with the second. Any questions on the extension? There be no questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion carries. All right, that's the meat of the agenda. Doc, you have anything coming up for information discussion?
I have a couple things I want to share with you. Originally, our May 11th board meeting is our budget hearing, but obviously, since we don't know when the budget vote is going to be, right now it's a regular meeting. I'm optimistic that by that point, Aaron and I will have a better understanding of what our revenues are. And we can have a conversation with you at that point to at least present the budget to you, or at least what we're looking at as of May 11th. So hopefully within the next 3 to 4 weeks, we'll have a better understanding of what's going on. In all of this doom and gloom, we have some really good news that I think you're all aware of, is that we finalized the ARC grant for nearly $150,000 to start the building trades program. And so as of July 1st, we will have a 2-year pilot program that partners with Alfred State and partners with Wells and the Allegheny County Land Bank to develop a trades program at Genesee Valley that will refurbish Allegheny County Land Bank homes. In this grant, there is funding for not only a trailer and the tools that would be required to fix those homes, but also money for an extended school day club for students who are working in class to be paid after hours to work and over the summer to continue to work on the home so they do not stop. So it's really good news. We're really excited about it and something that we'll be working on to plan it over the next 2 years to implement.
Brian, does the
Go ahead.
grant cover the cost of, I know in the past we talked about this, does it cover the cost of the person that would be in charge of overseeing this?
Yes, it does.
Okay,
2 years.
2 years, okay.
Yep. It's a shared, the grant covers the cost of it's a shared person between Wellsville, us and Alfred State,
Okay,
but the grant covers the cost of that individual.
beautiful.
And then the second thing is this week, I should say last week, I had a very interesting conversation with Helen Evans from Ardent and Terry and Ann about developing a intergenerational program at Genesee Valley where we would bring senior citizens into the school from about, we're talking 1 o'clock in the afternoon to 5 o'clock in the evening, where they would be able to come and have meals for lunch, socialize, and engage in the classroom. depending on what their strengths are, what areas of interest they are, and then participate in the extended school day program in the different clubs, or working with kids in that program as volunteers. So we are in the process of putting together some type of a program that would allow, I think, a better partnership between many of the seniors in our region. The target is to gain 25 senior citizens in the area and partner with the Office of the Aging to come in and to gain not only access to the school, but access to volunteering and each other for some of those who are alone, living in isolation. They can as well as give back to our school.
Beautiful.
So that's all I have as far as updates. I'm looking for guidance from you as a board, as far as the communication that's coming from the school around what we're doing now. I want to make sure that's adequate, that you feel like you're being informed of the different types of activities that are going on. And really, right now, it's meal delivery. We're delivering about 4,000 meals a week, and it's anytime we have the opportunity to support technology. We're doing that, delivering technology. And then to date, we've done 2 deliveries of sour cream and cottage cheese that we got donations from the Friendship Dairy. And then Kelly was in the process of making a connection with Upstate Dairy to get a yogurt donation as well.
Good.
Nice.
Any questions or concerns about the updates? You know, it's one of those things where I throw them out blind. I want to make sure you feel like you're being included, that you have the information that you need. And typically, my assumption is that if you needed information, you're going to pick up the phone and call or email. But I just want to make sure that while I have you all together, that you're gaining what you need.
No, I think, like I said earlier, I think the principals, the teachers overall are doing an extremely good job in a tough, trying time. I've heard nothing but positives about the Washington, D.C. trip, the virtual field trip that they took. The other things, little things that the teachers are doing with the kids is awesome. I think it comes down to some select, smaller outset groups like the juniors, the seniors, what's going to happen with the junior prom. Obviously, that's going to wind up having probably be pushed into maybe a junior or senior prom next year, a combination prom. The seniors are all obviously trying to figure out whether they're going to be able to walk across the stage. And you and I've had those conversations privately about thinking outside the box and what Annapolis, or what it was, Colorado Springs, the Air Force Academy had theirs outdoors, and everybody was 6 feet away from each other. And I think some of the like I said, those little outset groups need to hear from maybe the principal or even you, not necessarily in an email, but just on their social media website saying, hey guys, I'm thinking about you. We're doing everything. We don't want to make a decision too early, but when should we make that decision? And know that we want to have a graduation. I think that's what the kids want to hear, is that we're all pushing to try to have that graduation.
Yeah, we will have some type of graduation. I'm not sure what it's going to look like or how, but one of the things I threw to Tim was if we had to go to rent out a drive-in movie and deliver the diplomas to each car with families in the car together, we can do. There's a wide variety of options. The fairground you mentioned is a possibility, but we're going to do something, celebrate it. We've also ordered banners. Every senior is getting a pole banner with their picture on it and the GV logo that'll be hung through the communities. And then we're also ordering the signs, the yard signs. And so every senior will get a yard sign that will basically say something. This is the home of a Genesee Valley senior.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Good.
Any other questions or concerns?
I have a question. Just on grades and such, like today I see a couple grades going into Power School, and you suggested April 15th or the week of that, the teachers are going to start doing, a maximum of 3 assignments. Initially no grades were counting at this point. I'm just curious, so I can convey that to Gibson and whatnot.
Sure. So what we did was the third marking period will end actually this Friday. And so the majority of the work that was presented for the third marking period, in essence, what was collected and graded up to March 13th will count for the quarter average. but we're not assigning a numeric grade for the third marking period. It'll be pass or fail.
Okay, gotcha.
New work that will be graded will be starting on Monday, this coming Monday, the 27th. And what that will look like is that, and this is really for the secondary level predominantly. Some kids have 6, 7 classes. The idea that if every class is giving 4 or 5 or 6 assignments, we're going to bury the kids. That was not to do that. We're asking our teachers to assign 3 or fewer assignments, and that was rolled out today per course.
Okay, and are those grades going to count towards something?
Yes, they'll count towards the fourth quarter grade.
Fourth quarter, okay.
Yep. So there, and then we're going to finalize, and we've got ideas, but we're going to finalize what the actual grade, the average is going to look like. Whether it's just the 3 quarters, is how we average, come up with a cumulative grade. We don't want it to negatively impact salutatorian or valedictorian. The hard part of averages. So
now that should be coming out here shortly, right?
It's going to be announced this week.
Okay. Not that I have anything to worry about because we all
Nice.
have it, but
no, it's Jonathan Rizzo, and I'm putting on the spot. I'm forgetting the sale right now. Pam, do you remember?
I haven't even heard.
Oh, I should probably shouldn't be announcing this because we're broadcasting live. So that's great. Oops.
Oops.
That's all right.
Congratulations, Mr. Rizzo. I'm not going to announce the salutatorian because I'm probably not supposed to be.
But you didn't say what he was, right?
I'm sure the millions who are watching this will really be spilling the beans on it. But,
yeah.
They know if they were there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
So you talked mostly about the grades for secondary school. What about elementary? I mean, how's that work? Are they getting graded the same, or?
They're basically going to be the same, buddy. What the elementary is doing is they already have just 3 reporting periods on their standards-based grades. And so from kindergarten through 8th grade, they're still going to be graded on the standards. What we've asked the teachers is to focus on what are the priority standards, the most important skill sets that they need to have in English and math for them to move on next year. And so from this point forward to the end of the year, they're focusing on what are those most important standards, those most important skills to help kids move on to next year. And so the grades that were entered, in essence, the standards that were completed up to March 13th for this reporting period. And then it'll be in essence a pass fail. And then the 4th marking period, which will start Monday, they'll still grade the standards and those will go forward for the end of the year. And again, focusing on how do we make sure that kids are as prepared as possible to go into the next grade level.
I just, my own feelings are, I think it's easier for, the high school kids to get on the computer and do it compared to the elementary.
Elementary, I agree.
And I'm just afraid that some of them that, even some of their parents that don't have computer skills at all, I mean, how are they going to get to work? So
I think you make a great point. I've got a 2nd and a 4th grader at home with a teacher and a superintendent, and we should to get our kids to, because all the systems are different.
Yeah.
I have a system, Kathy has a different system, and the boys, their school has a different system. And then trying to get a 4th grader to sit and do their assignments while you're trying to do your jobs is not easy. Yeah. So we certainly empathize with our parents in the community that are going through this. And that's why our message has been all along is we want to make sure that we're focusing on the wellness of our families, making sure our kids have their meals, that they have the technology they need, and for families that don't have technology, we're going to be printing and delivering hard copies of that material. So our teachers are in touch with the kids, which ones that are, and then they'll be sending those over to school, and we'll be putting Marina making copies for them to be distributing out with the buses. So
Has there been any talk about extending the school year at all?
Actually, the talk's about shortening it. With the
really?
regional games canceled, what we heard is that they're not going to go beyond the 180 days. And because, in essence, we didn't have a break last week, those days were all instructional days, more than likely that we'll be ending probably mid-June. But no dates or no details have come out on that yet.
I know on April 1st, my kids were told that they had to go through the end of July, and neither one of them were happy about it.
Yeah.
Did you tell him that, Tim?
Absolutely.
Well,
Do you
The,
know, Doc, off the top of your head, and
I have a quick-
it's probably more of a question for Josie. Do we have any students, as I'm thinking more seniors, that are in jeopardy of, because of this, not getting through this year?
Not because of this. We had
Okay.
a couple seniors who were in jeopardy prior to this. Actually, I heard some positive news that one senior who was in jeopardy because of this actually stepped up her game and really got herself on track. The other one was one that we could not get to school. And
Okay.
so there were, my recollection, there were two that we were having conversations about. We're not surprised we've been having conversations about them since September.
Okay.
But to my knowledge, there's no student who has been had a consequence because of this pandemic that where they wouldn't graduate. It's actually because of the way the Regents exams are falling. It's actually
Right.
going to benefit some kids.
Okay.
I was going to say, Amy, they have canceled all of the foreign Jason learning projects, but as of now the Washington D.C. trip is still on. So
Oh, okay,
they haven't canceled that one yet.
good. I'll let Savannah know.
Quick question. I've seen not necessarily have I seen this many of our parents, but I've seen some posts on social media where parents kind of refuse, they're almost refusing to help, to tutor their kids or act like a teacher, I've seen some pretty negative attitudes in some places. Again, not necessarily in our district, but I'm certain there are, some that may feel they don't have the ability to even help or whatever. How, these poor kids, it's like younger kids, like Buddy was suggesting, if they're not in a situation where the demand is being made, how do we, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, how is that? I don't know. Is there a way to police that or to manage
Well,
that in some way?
unfortunately, we can't police the parents, but what we can do is make sure
Right, exactly.
punish the kids. And so our practices are such that we're really being as supportive as we can. And so if our teachers that if they're not hearing from a student regularly, that they're reaching out, if they're not able to connect with that kid, that they're
Yeah,
sending them to guidance or to Brooke. But as far as academically
right.
go, if let's say, for example, worst case scenario, somebody refuses to do any work throughout this year.
Yeah.
Depending on where they were going into this, could they be retained? Yeah, there's a possibility. More than likely not,
Sure.
because given the benefit of the doubt
Yeah.
of the circumstances. But
Yeah.
we typically don't
Yeah.
retain students in our district. We put a lot of interventions in place and supports in place to help
Yeah.
them move on because we know the data around retention.
Sure. Just a concern. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, nothing.
All right, being that I don't hear anything else, I would entertain a motion and a second for adjournment.
so move.
I got Donnie with this motion and,
I'll second.
all right, Josh with the second. All those in favor of adjourning, and it is currently 6:13 PM.
Aye.
Bye.
All right, we are adjourned. And wants